everyone to the Outtakes podcast. I'm Sam. We are back once again. I'm joined by Jacob. How's things been, man?
Yeah, it's just been... Yeah, same old.
Fair enough. It's been a long time since I've had you on the show. It's been what a shame. Well, hopefully this will be fun. Get you through it. Joe, what's going on? Any events at all?
Oh god, no, I don't know. I don't think so. Not really.
Oh no.
Life as well.
Well,
it's very sad. Yeah.
Perhaps I can fill you with some events because we'll go straight in with the news. It's also been quite uneventful. Wouldn't you know it? I really struggled this week to pull anything, which is surprising because you know what it is this week? It's bloody San Diego Comic-Con, but it's attendee-less San Diego Comic-Con, so no one's actually brought anything really worth, discussing. The biggest two things I could see were there was a trailer for the new season of Doctor Who, which looks like Doctor Who. There's lots of people running. That lad who played Grey Worm from Game of Thrones is going to be in it. He's good. And...
Isn't Thingy in it as well? What's his name? The comedy comedy dude in it.
John Bishop.
The Scouse one. Yeah, that's the one. He's in it too. Fair enough,
Well, they did that thing, didn't they, where when Chris Chibnall took over, one of the TARDIS team was Bradley Walsh, who was your old funny man. Bradley Walsh left, so we've got to get another old funny man in there. That's John Bishop.
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
And the other thing that was coming out of San Diego, which people, I don't know, potentially, it's weird. I feel like it should have caused a big reaction, but most people just went, yeah, whatever, was a poster released for The Mandalorian showing Luke Skywalker and baby Glob Glob building a lightsaber.
I have seen this.
Ooh.
I've never seen that.
And I don't, because...
Mad?
Is that an actual season 3 teaser, do you think? Or do you think it's just to put out there in the absence of new Mandalorian stuff?
I don't think it's got anything to do with season 3. I don't think they can call it The Mandalorian and then just do it. Oh, here's Grogu learning to become a Jedi.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Unless they don't call it The Mandalorian. They just...
Maybe they call it
something else for a season.
Grogu learning to become a Jedi.
Yeah. It's not the most inventive of titles, but...
Grogu : learning to become a Jedi.
Yeah.
Man.
Guest star in The Mandalorian. On occasion.
It's in one episode as like a cameo.
Yeah.
Man. What else have we got? Well, they're doing a Dead Space remake. Isn't that interesting? Ooh.
I saw. There was kind of a lot of thing around this, actually, because I saw a lot of people saying that it's just like, when you say remake, it's like, it feels like it's like, they call it remake, and you think, oh, it's them retelling the first story in a different way. But I'm pretty sure it's just a remaster.
Probably.
But they're doing what they did with the first, when they did the Modern Warfare remaster, they basically just, it's not just taking the old game and porting it into like a new, it's rebuilding the game from scratch, but it's just the first game again. Like, yeah, okay, they're rebuilding all of the textures from scratch. They're not reusing anything, but it is just the story of the first game again.
Yeah.
But I think what they're saying is they might add some other stuff. I don't know whether that means they're gonna possibly give Isaac voice lines like he had in 2 and 3, maybe, because he didn't have a voice. He was like voiceless in the first one, so maybe they're gonna actually give him voice lines in this one, so it matches 1 and 2. 3 and 4, fucking hell,
2 and 3.
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I'm excited for it either way. Like, I recently played the first one again, and it's good. I like it. I'm excited to play it for the 10th time, because I've played it loads.
The cynical part of me can't help but be like, it's funny that like Visceral really, really had to pitch to get the first Dead Space made because survival horror doesn't sell. And then Dead Space 2 was like heavily moderated by EA to involve more action elements because survival horror doesn't sell. Then Dead Space 3 was a straight action game with microtransactions in to bump up the money because survival horror doesn't sell. And now Resident Evil is consistently showing that survival horror fucking sells. And so we're getting a Dead Space re-release.
Man,
After Visceral has been closed.
It's annoying.
So.
Like, yeah. I'm excited for it though. Like, just it's apparently the one thing they are doing. Actually, I read this. So it's not going to be exactly the same in every possible way. It's not just literally. Apparently, one thing they are doing is they're looking at what they wanted to do for the first game, but couldn't do because of technologically it just wasn't the game couldn't handle it, and they're going to add some stuff back in. So there's going to be some. One of the things they said was there's going to be stuff in the early parts of the game that they had to cut out originally because they couldn't do it the game couldn't handle it or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they're doing those things again because they're, obviously it's next gen, it's 2 generations on from when the first one came out. So I think there will be new stuff in it, I think. But it's a lot of just kind of gameplay stuff. So maybe there'll be an extra fight kind of tangle in with some monsters extra kind of here and there, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I mean, I'm excited for it though. I'm excited for it.
I do have one other thing coming out from San Diego, which was pretty cool. It's just later on down my list because I saw it late, which is a trailer for a new Blade Runner animated show.
Oh, yeah.
You don't sound happy about this. What's your problem with it, Joe?
It looks, the animation, when they first announced they're doing an anime Blade Runner, I expected it to be, anime, it's 3D animation is what they're doing.
You expected
really
it to be like Akira, basically.
I expected it to be 2D, kind of anime, what you think of when you think anime. And I don't really do anime, so maybe there's lots of this 3D animation floating about. But when I think anime, I think the 2D kind of, the cool looking thingy, not this weird 2014 looking 3D animated thing. Really weird. I don't know. I don't like the look of it. It looks almost like a fan project for Blade Runner, not an official licensed TV show. I don't know. It also doesn't look that interesting.
That's fair.
Really basic.
Do you think we're getting too much out of Blade Runner now? Or maybe should we save that for the main topic?
It looks like it's... The problem with Blade Runner is it obviously inspired loads. So the problem is you get more of it and there's a lot that looks like it now.
Yeah.
So it's not unique anymore. The thing with 2049 is they kind of... That was good because they took what was there and changed it enough. So it still looked like Blade Runner, but it was still new. So you got Las Vegas and San Diego, all these extra locations, and even the sea just felt a bit newer. I don't know, it's weird. Whereas this just feels like the way Altered Carbon looked. It just felt like B-Tech Blade Runner. You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't know. It's kind of something like that. I get that it is Blade Runner, but I don't know. It's weird.
The last thing I've got on my little list for news is more of a rumor, and I was tempted to put it in stupid news, give it its own little segment. But to be honest with you, it's just a rumor from a source. There's nothing too silly about it. It's just kind of oh, wouldn't this be cool? This could have happened. There's a current rumor going around that Vincent D'Onofrio will be reprising his role as the Kingpin in the Hawkeye show, and is apparently due to show up in the 5th episode. I'm going to go ahead and assume the answer is probably yes, but I'm going to ask you guys anyway. Jacob, Joe, Vincent D'Onofrio is the Kingpin again, yes or no?
Is this yes or no it will happen, or yes or no we want it to happen?
Do you want it?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. If the Kingpin shows up in that show and it's not played by him, then just, fuck Marvel, you know what I mean? What's the point? They've already cast someone who's perfect for it. They've got someone who's perfect. Why cast anyone else?
I agree.
It feels like at that point you're just doing it to take the piss, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Do you think it's likely to happen at this point as well?
You know what? Yes. I actually do a bit, because...
I think so too.
Because Thingy being in One Division, what's his name?
Evan Peters.
Guy played quick. Yeah, Evan Peters being in One Division. I think because of that.
J.K. Simmons was in the
Spider-Man.
Something Home, Far
From Home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Something
think because
Home
of
doesn't really
those
narrow
things,
it
they're
down,
clearly
does
not
it?
afraid to like. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's if that's something they're gonna do, and it makes sense because isn't it set in New York?
Yep.
The Hawkeye. I mean, that's where they've been filming it,
Street level
so
New
it
York.
makes sense. Yeah. So, yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance.
I'm hoping so. I don't think I've told you guys actually, because I've been doing my little MCU rewatch, and I've finally caught back up with the TV shows. I'm in the middle of a Loki rewatch already, and having rewatched WandaVision, I'm actually now back in the camp of people that think Ralph Bohner is Quicksilver. There was some details I just saw like that I missed the first time. I mean, for one, Disney Plus has like a timeline order now anyway, so Loki takes place before WandaVision. So when that show starts, the multiverse has been opened. So there's like thing number one. Second, it's the specific lines Jimmy Woo is given about the whole witness protection thing. Because a lot of people are like, well, Jimmy Woo didn't recognize him. But it doesn't sound like it's his witness protection guy. It just sounds like someone has gone missing from witness protection. And all he says is that when they tried to contact all known friends and family, they said, we didn't know he existed. Which makes me think it's a completely new person in the world. Am I saying it's the Fox Quicksilver? Not necessarily. Am I saying he's a variant? Yes, probably.
So what's the theory that the guy, Evan Peters' character, is a Quicksilver from a different universe who was in witness protection, and then Agatha like messed with his mind a bit and turned him into this other
like
person.
fell through, maybe caused a bit of trouble, got himself into witness protection somehow, and then like Agatha's constructing some grand plan to mess with Wanda, and she's like, oh my god, this guy can do super speed. He'll definitely help me fuck with Wanda.
It's a pretty mad coincidence that
it is a pretty mad coincidence. But also, the thing is with Marvel is like when it comes to long-term plans, we commend them a lot. But when you analyze them, like a lot of them don't make a lot of sense. Like Thanos' plan, for example. I'm not talking about the whole wipe out half the universe. I'm talking about what the fuck he was doing before Infinity War, where his plan was just, I'm gonna collect some of the stones and then immediately give them to the least trustworthy people in the galaxy.
Yeah.
It's like he's like half-assed, and you know what I mean? He's like, I guess I want to wipe out half the people, but I'm not that committed. And then some loses his stones, and he's like, I guess I'll do it myself. You know, he does all that shit.
Literally.
And then he does it himself, like 4 years later. He does the dramatic picking up of the gauntlet, and then 4 years later he's like, okay, I'll get all 5 stones in the space of a week. It's all good,
he does,
good stuff. Yeah.
What can say it's a week, it's time, like 2 days.
So what I'm suggesting is the minutiae of the details surrounding him potentially being Quicksilver. I don't mind if they're lax, because this is that's very typically Marvel. It's all I'm saying. If they wanted to turn around and say
Ralph Bohner thing. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean that pretty much covers what I've been watching. It's just been more Marvel shit. We'll officially go into the segment. What we've been watching? Jacob, let's catch up with you. Have you been watching or reading or playing anything that you wanted to give a shout out to?
Well, I watched Loki. That was pretty good. Pretty happy with that. I watched The Witcher.
Ooh, I've not watched The Witcher yet.
It's have you played The Witcher?
Good.
I played all three games. Really good.
I've not played The Witcher. And I started watching it. I was like, okay, this is intense. There's big names and all these places. Am I supposed to know what these are? Because I feel like I'm supposed to know. So I want to rewatch it. And also, it doesn't help that, spoilers for The Witcher, it's not chronological.
No.
They do like some time jumps as they go, which, as a new viewer coming to it, who doesn't know any of the names or any of the locations, to then add in time jumps that don't become super apparent until they show you, it was a bit confusing. But overall,
yeah, I can get that.
I liked the lore, I liked the characters, I liked the story. I don't really know what the story was, but I liked it, and I will probably try and rewatch it before season 2 comes out.
I mean,
I think that's pretty much it. Though? Go on.
Would the games take place like after all the? Because I mean, the TV show's based on the books.
Yeah, they're a sequel to the books.
And then the games take place after all the books or something, don't they? So.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you don't need to play the games to think. I've never played the games.
If you did play the games, the benefit you would get is you would become more familiar with those place names and people and stuff simply by virtue of like proximity. Because to be honest with you, the first time I played through the games, I experienced the same thing you're experiencing, where I was getting a lot of fantasy names thrown at me, and I didn't really know what any of them were. Like, I tried playing The Witcher 3 first, and I bounced off it after the first like 10 hours or so. Not necessarily because the game was bad, it was good, but because I just couldn't keep up with like all the lore. And then, because there's like you dropped in the middle of this like crazy war in the middle of Witcher 3, and when you finish The Witcher 2, you find out how that war starts, and you're kind of involved in how it starts, and you really know all the players. But if you've not played that game, you're extremely unlikely to know. And if you've like played that game, if you're only half paying attention, you still might not know. But if you've like read all the books, then you'd know. It's just proximity, you know. Like Game of Thrones, it was difficult at the start. The more you hear it, the more you dip into it. So it might be worth a rewatch before season 2. I mean, I've not watched it at all, but I do consistently hear good things from it.
It's pretty good. It's got the guy who played Parker in the Thunderbirds movie in it.
Does it?
Yep. I don't know what his name is. Who else he's been in, but he showed up and I was like, that's Parker from the Thunderbirds live action movie.
Holy shit!
Oh man, I'm sure as well. The guy who plays the main character, he's played like another really big dude as well. He's like a really famous actor as well, but...
Nah, I've never seen him before.
Like a superhero or something. I don't know who he is, though.
If he was a superhero, they'd have to be a pretty super man, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true, actually. You'd have to have,
Maybe like Captain Britain or something, you know?
Yeah. Like,
I've heard those rumours.
I can imagine him being in like a superhero film where it's about a hero who typically in the comics is really happy and he's really, he's really nice to everyone. But in the film that he would be in, he'd be the complete opposite and he'd like, I don't know, break the villain's neck or something at the end. Something really completely shit or something, you know what I mean? Completely not doing him injustice. I don't know. Fuck knows.
Hey.
But either way, he's excited to be in The Witcher and you can tell. So that's a good thing.
That was a good bit. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I feel like I need to rewatch actually before season 2 because I only watched it when it came out. So it's been a while.
Joe, have you watched anything in the 2 weeks since the last episode?
Been watching the new season of Rick and Morty as it comes out.
Is it all right? I didn't watch the last one,
You know.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't get the jokes. That's why I'm not watching it. I'm just not smart enough.
Fair. And you've got to have a certain intelligence to watch it, you know what I mean? And some people, jokes are lost on them. It's alright, it's good. It's just more the same. It's just, that... Not in like a bad way, though. Not in like a more of the same as in it's getting boring. Like, they come up with creative stories, but it's just the same kind of comedy, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Him improvising and burping and stuff. Yeah, there was a really good episode actually.
Morty having sex with a thing and causing like the end of the world.
Oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Just weird. Yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's alright.
That's happened. That they do it again in this season.
Yeah.
I think was that the latest episode? I don't know.
I can't remember what it was.
But yeah, it was one of the more recent ones. Morty has sex with a thing, and some stuff happens, and the end of the world could have happened because of it.
Right.
Which one was that?
The sperm one.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember. I know which one you mean. Yeah. Fair enough. That was a weird episode, actually. What was the last one? The last one that was on as of recording this was I literally watched it like...
In the UK, anyway.
Yeah, I literally watched it like yesterday and I've already forgot.
It was Thanksgiving, wasn't it? The one with the turkeys.
Yeah, the one with the turkeys. Where they become turkeys. Yeah, fair enough. Man, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's enjoy. Yep. Pretty good.
I saw the one, where he turns himself into a pickle. Funniest shit I've ever seen.
That's so good, That's like literally the funniest shit I've ever seen, you know what I mean?
Let's move on then to the main topic of discussion for this episode, which is you'll see it in the title, movies that shouldn't get sequels. I feel like now I've said it in that way, that has to be the title. I've sort of fucked myself there. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to get everyone to pick a movie, or potentially a franchise, because we can take this either way. Either this movie could be perfect the way it is. It's like a gem. It's a masterpiece in your heart. You don't ever want to see any more of it. Or you're completely sick to death of it, and you think it should go away. Any kind of angle would be good for this, because we've done like reboots and sequels that were disappointing. So maybe that was kind of my thought, was like, well, what are we scared of potentially getting? Another thing for whatever reason. And I'll kick us off for something kind of small, right? It's I don't have many a reason for this. It's just like when I thought about the topic, I was like, this movie kept coming to my mind. We covered it in the Outtakes movie podcast, which you can check out on the YouTube channel. And that movie is actually Pan's Labyrinth, which is a movie I really enjoyed. I really like Guillermo del Toro, but it so perfectly tried to encapsulate what it is to be like a fairy tale that even though you could expand on the lore if you wanted, I see no reason to, Every creature and fantastical element played such a perfect part in that story that finding out more about them and their world would feel so completely superfluous. In the same way, I don't need Red Riding Hood expanded on, or Goldilocks expanded on, or The Tale of Rapunzel expanded on, all those classic fairy tales.
Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth can stay as it is. And I don't really need any more.
Would you accept like a spin-off film? Like one that isn't a direct sequel and has no influence on the original, but was set in like the same universe and something similar could happen? Like if the fawn showed up in a different movie with someone else.
I mean, a different kid experiencing a similar.
That's an interesting way to go about it. For some reason, when you added on to that, Joe, the movie Nanny McPhee 2 pops into my head. Like that kind of gimmick. Where you can keep the character coming back. Well, I don't. When you describe it like that, I don't hate the idea. Like if the fawn always is like the gatekeeper, and then you can have the kid experience. Like it's. I think my rejection would be, I don't know why it needs to be set in this universe, because the fairy tales that expanded, that inspired it in the first place, they weren't all interconnected. They were all written by the Grimm brothers, but it wasn't the Grimm brothers novel universe, It was just like, here's some weird shit. And even though, like with Del Toro, he's continued to make weird and wonderful movies. Shape of Water is not hindered by it not being in the Pan's Labyrinth universe. So
while you just make more whimsical fairy tale stuff, totally separate.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea of it spinning off. I don't consider it necessary. So I'll still plant my foot down. No more Pan's Labyrinth. But also, please go and watch it if you've not seen it. It's good. Jacob, what would your pick be?
My pick would be Back to the Future.
That's a good choice.
Although we got 2 sequels, I don't think they were necessary. But if they had just made Back to the Future and never made any more, that film as a standalone is perfect. Just fine. And then they made 2 and 3, and you go, that's what more of that was. But because they were made in quite quick succession, it was quite well contained. Like you've got the Back to the Future trilogy. If they try and make a Back to the Future 4, where they just get another DeLorean and they do more time travel, it would.
Or they use the train.
Yeah, in anything, it would just be a bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Flat and wet. Especially, I think if they were to do it, you'd have to bring back the DeLorean. because it's so iconic. The fact that Ready Player One, most of that marketing was just around Back to the Future because, oh look, the DeLorean's in another movie, go and watch it. That was all they did. But when, in Back to the Future 3, when that car gets absolutely wrecked by that train, first time watching it, I honestly was shocked at the... But it's the DeLorean.
Same. Yeah.
No. But if they just bring it back, because you know they would, it would be just... What a waste.
Yeah.
Those three movies are fine by themselves. We don't really need any more Back to the Future.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's funny, you know, with bringing it Back to the Future because, like, I think your point stands. Like you started off by almost insinuating that, like, if you go back in time, just don't make 2 and 3 happen. And I don't hate like 2 and 3, but like Back to the Future is this weird franchise where it like sits in my head as like, oh yeah, it's Back to the Future, and it's all right. And then when we watched it for the Outtakes movie podcast, which you can check out on our YouTube channel. And earlier in your podcast feed.
Shameless plug.
I couldn't get over how much I love that movie. Like when I watched it, how much
I've watched it like again recently.
I had watching Back to the Future, and we all rated it so high that it ended up as the best movie of all time on our fake little list. And yeah, I have you guys played the Telltale game Back to the Future?
No,
I've not played it. I watched it though because they did a part 4, didn't they? Where it's set in like the 20s or the 30s or something.
Yeah. So the gimmick of the Telltale game is that Marty ends up going. I can't remember why, but he ends up going back in time again, and the DeLorean is back. And he meets a young Doc Brown before he's done any of his inventions and stuff, and Marty can't get over how like he's kind of like his dad. You know, he's all weak and weedy and everything. And then when he goes back into the future, thinking that nothing's wrong, Hill Valley is some bizarre like authoritarian surveillance state controlled by Citizen Brown. Like Doc Brown's gone all evil, and like it's a fun story, but it didn't make me go, oh man, I wish this was a movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine with that being a spin-off video game. That's not important, because all it taught me is that any more of this franchise, I think, would on some level be a disappointment.
Yeah.
It kind of like scares me a bit though, because they're doing Ghostbusters 3, but like real Ghostbusters 3.
But that looks good though somehow. Do you not think? I watched the trailer. It looks real good.
I think with that they've managed to take what I mean. I don't know. It's a weird one. The problem with Back to the Future is if they do it, they'd have to. It couldn't be set in the modern day like Ghostbusters is, because obviously we know that unless it is, and it's just like, say it came out next year, the way they'd have to do it is it's a version of 2022 based on the version of 2015 that's in Back to the Future 2. So they'd have to have the flying cars, which I don't hate the idea of. But I don't know. It's the fact that they've made this Ghostbusters 3, even though it does actually look alright. The fact that they've actually made it scares me a bit, because it makes me think, what if they actually either remake Back to the Future one day, or do another one?
I wonder
clearly in their mind. They've not pinned themselves in with where the future goes.
Yeah. So
they'd already said 2015. This is the future. We've got the past, the present, and the future. So they couldn't. Whereas Ghostbusters, they haven't done that. They can just do modern stuff. So many years on.
Yeah.
It's similar. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, they'd have to go about it a lot more differently than just modern day now. It's
just.
I wonder if part of the problem.
If
Ghostbusters
3 is if Ghostbusters 3 is successful and it makes loads of money, that's what I'm kind of scared of. It's like, oh well, people like this film, and that's a remake of a classic 80s film, let's possibly explore the opportunity, Back to the Future 4. It's like, no, don't. Like, it's just that, like, a money standpoint of it, especially considering you knew how much people liked the references in Ready Player One. I was
talking.
It feels like one of those things that is inevitable, and I don't want it to be. You know what I mean?
I was talking to someone,
don't do it.
One of the people we work with, about, like, 'cause they quite like Ready Player One, and they were like, and I was like, I'm not really a fan. What was wrong with it? The only thing I could really say was that Ready Player One is constantly reminding me of better films I could be watching. Every second, it's, look at the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and I'm like, I'd much rather be watching Back to the Future. I wonder if the problem potentially with the Back to the Future 4 versus Ghostbusters 3, because Ghostbusters 3 looks quite fun, and I like the continuation of, like, it's Egon's grandkids. That's really smart. I like that it looks like a passing of the torch movie, and it's in this, like, little quiet little country town and stuff. That's all really good decisions. And I think one of the reasons it's working is because Ghostbusters, while being fun films, that actual cast of characters, while being fun, aren't quintessential to what makes Ghostbusters work, in my opinion. It's like they're fun movies, whatever. Back to the Future, the time travel's fun, sure, but it works because it's about Marty McFly and Doc Brown, Marty's family, and Biff, and every single Back to the Future features the same exact cast of characters, and their stories are so well and truly done.
Yeah. I mean, then there's the thingy then. If they do that, maybe not a fourth one, but something, when I say it, I think another one's inevitable. I feel like it's going to be more like a remake, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But it'd be like one that it wouldn't just be straight up like, it's a Back to the Future remake. They would somehow try and, like, hide it almost. They wouldn't, like, be like, it's a secret one, but I don't know, they would try and market it as, well, it's a remake, but it's different, it's different, it's the same. It'd be kind of almost like a similar story set in the same universe.
They could Jurassic World it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I imagine it would be if they were going to do it. And I feel like it doesn't need that, you know what I mean? It doesn't... Even that would probably be the best way to do it, but it doesn't need to happen. That's not something that we need, like, at all. Just don't. Leave it alone. It's good. It's good as it is. Don't need it.
That all being said, Joe, do you have a pick as well?
I mean, mine, unfortunately... they've confirmed that the thing that I don't want them to do a sequel for, they have confirmed that they are doing it, and they are currently shooting it. I don't know whether they're currently shooting it, because there was an injury on set which has prevented it thingy. But I don't think Indiana Jones needs any more films.
I agree,
Like, I think the fact that Harrison
my argument
Ford...
with this is they've already fucked it, basically. They've already made 4.
Yeah.
So
they didn't need 4.
Can't cry out loud. I've been joined by a cat who just gives no shits, patting me in the face with his tail. They've already messed it up. How much worse could it possibly get?
Don't say that, Jacob. Don't tempt fate like that.
I mean, if it fails again, then we're not going to get a 6th one. Well,
or
I don't know.
They're going to reboot it. They're going to cast someone else, and it's going to be someone who's... It's not just going to be some random new actor. It's going to be like a classic. I would say like someone like Tom Holland, but he's already playing Nathan Drake, so I don't know whether they'd want... Unless maybe they cast him for that reason. I don't know.
You bring up a good point,
though. He's too young.
Because, like, Uncharted, maybe it's too limited by the story they're trying to tell with it being an Uncharted movie. I think my thing with Indiana Jones is I'd love more movies like Indiana Jones. I don't need them to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, no.
I like Harrison Ford and I like that character. But, like, me craving adventure movies is just because of an absence of adventure movies in cinema, not the absence of Indiana Jones.
See, my thing with those kinds of movies, especially with characters like Uncharted, what? Like Uncharted, and I suppose Tomb Raider's a similar kind of thing, and Indiana Jones. It's good when it's like one thing. You've got a likable character. They do this crazy adventure where they find some hidden treasure. When it starts to get like 4 or 5 adventures in, how many fucking hidden cities can one person find in a lifetime?
Yeah.
That's, like, don't get me wrong, right? Uncharted, especially Uncharted 4, is an amazing game. Granted, it's about pirates, so I'm a bit biased. But even if without pirates, like, I know people who aren't obsessed with pirates, and even they say it's an amazing game. Like, if you've not played it, definitely play it, because it's amazing. But it gets to a point, now that as well they're doing the film. The film's set before any of the games, so that's another thing that he's done. Like, I get, there's big adventurous people in the world, but that's in the games. In each game, he finds a hidden lost city. That's 4 lost cities that he's found, that one person's found. In the 4th game, he jokes about, like, yeah, I keep finding hidden cities, they're not that well hidden, It's like a joke, because they understand. But it's a similar thing with Indiana Jones, you know what I mean? Like my guy's found the Ark of the Covenant, the bloody Holy Grail. He's fought off, like, ancient spirits, whatever, stealing hearts. He's seen aliens. What's he going to do in the new one? I've heard they're filming it in Scotland or something. It's like a I don't
Loch Ness.
I don't know what they're obviously don't know what they're about yet, but
Indiana Jones versus the Loch Ness monster.
Exactly, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so many different like so many different things. It's just it gets to a point where if you use the same character too much, it becomes it becomes unbelievable. Obviously, the finding the fucking Holy Grail and the finding, like, lost cities and stuff. But you know what I mean? Like, the whole gimmick of it is that it could potentially exist. You know what I mean? Like, all these cities he finds in Uncharted, it's not completely out of the world impossible for them to exist. But it starts to kind of become, if the same person keeps finding all these fucking treasures, you know what I mean? Like, how much money does he need? Watching
my guy. Like, Rick O'Connell go to Egypt was fine in the first Mummy. Watching Rick O'Connell fight Jet Li in the Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, it had just got a bit too much by then. Like,
it's like the thing. It's like with like the Die Hard, the whole thing with the later Die Hard movies. Like, the first one, he's just a regular dude fighting terrorists. But the last one, he's just a bloody action hero. It gets to a point where it's too much. Like, and I feel like that's the problem with these, like, adventure movies, and why they don't need to do any more Indiana Jones. Or if they absolutely want to just hold on to that license, I say hold on to, they own it, so they don't have to hold on to it, but they absolutely want to just milk it. I guess they, just redo it. You know what I mean? I don't want to watch an 80-whatever-year-old Harrison Ford. Yeah.
Who would you cast
Harrison Ford, but
as Indiana Jones? If you had to recast him.
Oh, God, I don't know.
How old was Harrison Ford when he did the first one? 30-something, yeah?
He must have been in, like, his 40s or something, I think. He's in his late 30s in Star Wars, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What's the first Indiana Jones, like 1980 or something? Something like that.
Chris Evans.
It's a good shout. That's a good shout, I think, yeah.
Swing from ropes with a machete in a fedora. Yeah.
I can see, like,
I think he's got
Cavill or something being...
Henry Cavill's not a bad choice. I think Evans has got both the charisma and the attitude for it, Cavill, I've not seen him really play like like a kind of cocky, like, maybe I should watch The Witcher. Maybe that'll solve it. But, like, Evans, because I've seen him go all the way into like prick territory in, like, movies like Scott Pilgrim and stuff. I know he can, and then all the way into complete good guy in Captain America. Like, I think Evans is a good shout. Because that's the thing. Everyone's, the name everyone's bringing up is Chris Pratt, and Harrison Ford hates that, and I hate that. Like, he's not. I mean,
he was the one for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because there was all the rumors that they were actually gonna do that, and that Indiana Jones 5 was gonna be a remake with him. But I don't know. I don't really.
I don't think
I didn't mind it for a while.
At the same time, I can see them just making jungle adventure movies with Chris Pratt and it not being Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's just the name Indiana Jones.
He's that kind of character in Jurassic World. He's basically the same character, or a similar one. He's got too much big stuff. Stop. Then again, Chris Evans has also got some big stuff as well.
Well, the thing is with Chris Pratt is like... The thing is I think he's hilariously miscast as an action hero. I know he does it like a lot, but every time I saw him on that poster for that new fucking Amazon, really bad looking Amazon movie. What's it called?
Oh yeah,
the Tomorrow War.
The Tomorrow War, which the concept of which sounds like a joke movie, like a fake film, that they would pitch in The Simpsons or something. It's such a stupid concept. Every time I saw him on a post for that, I giggled to myself because he's in action films all the time, but I genuinely... Do you remember when Owen Wilson was like trying to be an action hero briefly, and he was in like some disaster movies and stuff?
Oh yeah,
that's how I see it. Like, he's good as like Star-Lord because the point of that character is like he's an overhyped egomaniac who's actually quite lame. He's the son of a fucking literal planet, but he's really quite lame. And as a comedic actor, he plays that role pretty well. As a serious action hero, I know he's done tons of them. I don't buy it. And I get that Indiana Jones doesn't have to be a serious action hero, but like, does that scene, everyone knows the scene in Indiana Jones where that guy does the sword tricks and then Indy just shoots him. I can't see Chris Pratt asserting his dominance like that. He would drop the gun.
It's weird, that one. Because there's the whole... I mean, I don't know how true it is, but there's the whole story behind that scene is that they were filming it all day and then Harrison Ford was just he was like sick of it and just pulled the gun out and pretended to shoot the guy and they loved it, so they made that the scene. That's like the whole backstory to that scene. Whether that's actually true or not. But like, to cast someone as Indiana Jones, you got to think of who would have the initiative to do that. You know what I mean? Like some stuff like that. Because that seems like an icon. If that's actually what happened with Harrison Ford being all, he's fed up and he just wants to be the scene to be over, so he pretends to shoot the guy before doing the choreographed fight scene stuff. If that's like what actually happened, like that's an iconic scene. Like, I don't know. I mean, are there any scenes that like that? Are there any like stories of Chris Pratt being like really, improvising and creating iconic? But then saying that though, I don't even know. Are there any Chris Evans improvised?
I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. And maybe we stopped too quickly at Chris's here.
I mean, I think it depends what kind of Indiana Jones you want, really. Like, if you want action hero, there's the guy from The Office as well. John
Krasinski?
I can't say his name. John. Yeah. I don't know. He's one that would pop to mind.
I have the same thing, with him, where I keep looking at him on action movie posters and giggling. I know a lot of people like the films he's in. I really struggle to buy it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's weird because, like, he was in... What was the show called? The Amazon one?
Jack Ryan?
The remake of something. Was it Jack Ryan, yeah. He was good in that. Like, he doesn't seem like he should be an action... like an action... like hero or whatever, but he's good, and he's good in A Quiet Place as well. I wouldn't hate seeing him as Indiana Jones. I think he'd bring like a certain charisma to it. I think it'd be all right. I think there might be better people, but I think he would play it differently than Harrison Ford did. And that's what I'd want. I wouldn't want just Harrison Ford again.
Yeah, I don't want someone doing a Harrison Ford impression. Definitely. What would I mean? I don't think any of us have seen it yet. But we are ignoring the elephant in the room here that there actually is an adventure movie in cinemas right now, which is Disney's The Jungle Cruise.
Oh yeah.
What would you think if they tried to spin that into like a full, instead of tons of Indiana Jones movies? Do you see The Rock as an adventure hero?
Yes, but no. Yes, he's just a big... He
was in Jumanji as well, so...
He is in Jumanji?
Yeah, he's not terrible in the first Jumanji. he's not the best in the second because he does this really bad impression of Danny DeVito, which is just a New York accent for the whole movie, and it's not the best. But he plays the same character in all of his films. He's a blockbuster action hero, whereas like Indiana Jones and like people like Nathan Drake and Bruce Willis in Die Hard, they're like a different kind. I mean, maybe not Bruce Willis in the first Die Hard, maybe not so much in the later ones.
They're supposed to be your everyman
like a character
action hero.
Yeah,
like more.
They're like
less crazy. Like they do less bonkers stuff.
Yeah.
Like they won't
like,
have a crazy sword fight with a guy. They'll just shoot him.
Yeah, like personality. They've got like a person. Like whereas The Rock just plays big muscle dude who's with a bald head. You know what I mean? That's what his character is.
Yeah,
I know he's good at doing that.
He
like
play there's a reason very well.
Yeah, like there's a reason he's a millionaire. He does what he does. He's good at what he does, but like I feel like he doesn't. He knows, you know what I mean. He knows that that's what he does. You know what I mean. He knows that's what he does, so he's fair enough to him.
What would you guys say to? This is a thought I had because you mentioned Nathan Drake, and there was a guy who was famously snubbed casting wise for Nathan Drake. What would you think of Nathan Fillion as a new Indiana Jones? He is quite old now, but I think he's
but so's Harrison Ford, and he's playing Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
So.
I think Nathan Fillion's got the right kind of attitude for that sort of character.
I think so. Do you remember that fan film, that Uncharted fan film?
Yeah.
Him playing, and he proved that he could do it.
Oh yeah.
Like I think he could adapt that and put it in, make it Indiana Jones, make it a good Indiana Jones. I like Nathan Fillion. He's a good actor. Like, especially as well considering, like, this is the thing as well. If they remade Indiana Jones, would you want it to be set when it was? So like, would it be like
Absolutely.
the first film set like
in the
I
think
30s
so too.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was weird that it was set in the 50s. I bet the new one's set in like fucking 60s or something, some stupid shit.
Indiana Jones.
Have to, though.
Indiana Jones versus the Nazis is right and proper. That's what Indiana Jones is.
Yeah. That'd be pretty sick. Imagine like Indiana Jones, like Nathan Fillion, Indiana Jones fighting Nazis in actual World War II. Like, I'm not saying he's enlisted or anything. I mean, he could have been enlisted, but he's like, hey, the war's going on. It's putting some strain on my Indiana Jones adventures. It's maybe like I feel like if Nathan Fillion's going to do it, he'd play an older Indiana Jones, like a between 3 and 4 Indiana Jones, and that would fall probably in like during World War II.
Yeah, I can see that working. Nathan Fillion for Indiana Jones, Tom Holland for the Young Indiana Jones TV spin-off. There we are.
Nice.
Sorted.
Yeah. Nice. I like it.
All right, so those are some projects we think shouldn't get sequels. I agree with all three of the picks today. I think they're good. Well, one of them was mine, so it'd be pretty bad if I went, hang about. What was that fucking Pan's Labyrinth pick about, Sam? Why don't you let us know which movies you don't want to see get sequels in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed the show, why don't you give it a like, share it with your friends, that'd be pretty good, and hit that old subscribe button. And if you listen to us on your podcasting app, you can hit follow, and well, what else can you do on podcasting apps? You can probably also share it with a friend. Way! So they have comments on some podcast apps. I wouldn't check them. Leave one. Leave any comment. Leave nuclear codes or something. I won't check. I'll never find out. Do it. If you listen, President Biden, put the old nuclear codes in in the podcast comments. You can follow us also on socials at Twitter and Instagram at The Real Outtakes. And thank you very much for watching. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
In a bit.